We'll be looking at research design, and for this first session, we'll look at the definitions and the process. For the course, for this part of the course, we'll be looking at these learning objectives. You must be able to show an understanding of the concept of research design. You must be able to explain what we mean by internal and external validity. You should show an understanding of the types of variances in research design. Describe the guiding principle for effective research design and illustrate basic research design. So let's get started with the first part. A research design, as the name suggests, is more or less the plan, the structure, or the strategy that you're going to adopt for your research. So it's more or less the guiding principle or the guiding process, the blueprints that will guide your research. So that is the design. So if we look at the process of empirical research or the scientific research, remember from our previous classes, we said it's an iterative process. So you start with careful definition of what you want to study, you define the research problem, you move on to looking at what is in the literature by building the theoretical framework and the research model. Then you develop some hypotheses, develop operational definition and research variables that you are going to go out and look at. But remember, these steps are also iterative. You look at them, you go forward, then you tweak them again, you go back again, you test, so until you fine tune it and you are ready to deploy. Then you go to the field to collect data, code the data, edit, do your quality check, do your data analysis to test the hypothesis. From your results and conclusion and findings, that could also bring about refining what we have in terms of our understanding, and that could lead to more questions, which the whole process starts all over again and you repeat the process. And that is how scientific knowledge is built, because as we know more, we realize that there are other questions that are being generated, and that leads to more investigation, which goes on and on. So this aspect just illustrates this diagram here, illustrates the process of the empirical research. But have it at the back of your mind that the plan and the structure, as well as the strategy for your research, is what we mean by a research design. So if you look at the research project that you will normally have to do, you will definitely have to do this. If we kind of give it a structure, you know that you are going to start with what is it that you want to study. So that has to do with the introduction part of your work. You have to tell us what you're going to study, what are the aspects of the subject you're going to study, and why, what's the significance of this. So you're going to talk about write up about the problem, the objective, and why it should be studied. And also you must tell us what is the significance of this study, what are you going to find out, how is it going to be used, for whom is it going to be useful. So all this will go in the aspect of your introduction. Then you go to the literature review, where you review what has been done, what is the body of research saying about your current endeavor. So that helps you also in defining what the methodology that you're going to use or adopt is going to be. So literature review is very, very essential. You must do a very good job there, because it's a very important pivot point that support the entire research. So you move on to methodology. This is where you define what you are going to do, how you're going to carry it out in terms of really taking the research on. How are you going to execute it? This is what you do when you are in the methodological part of your write-up So the research sample, the data collection, method of data analysis, how you could do your measurement, all of that is going to be there. Then we move on to where you have your results and discussion. So when you finish your analysis, you present the result and you explain what that result is saying. What are the interpretation? And then in that discussion part, you must link your findings to existing literature. So this shows you why literature review is very important. It's relevant for your methodology, it's relevant for your introduction, it's relevant for your result and discussion, as well as your conclusion. So these are the basic areas. So when you get to implications, you are talking about still in your chapter 4, depending on the structure that you are adopting. Okay, in your chapter 4, you must tell us what it means, the result that you have presented, and the discussion. What are the implications of this? So at the back of your mind, you must be able to say, to answer the question, so what, based on what you found out, so what does this implies? And then you draw conclusions based on your findings and make recommendations for future research, or recommendation on how to address the issues that you have raised from your finding. So what now? That aspect will answer the what now. So this is a kind of summary of what the process is like when you're doing a research project. And remember, the literature review is a very, very important component of the whole thing, because we always build on the knowledge that's already in existence. We might look to remedy some of the limitations of previous work, or we might use a better methodology or better technique to do the investigation so as to improve on what has been done previously. So make sure you do a very good job with your literature review, and your research becomes really, really interesting, because you are bound to find something that you are going to address or be able to do better than what it used to be. Thank you.